Welcome to a bad recap of the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, a movie about murder, treason, and general tomfoolery set in 1942 during World War II. The film is based on real-life events, just like the Polar Express, and follows a team of highly skilled soldiers who go behind German lines to commit some ungentlemanly warfare, and some war crimes. Anyway, the movie starts over the Atlantic Ocean, in waters controlled by the I can't say that word. I shall call them the N-words instead. Nope, that's worse. The Germans board a neutral Swedish boat and ask the crew if they speak, you guessed it, English. This is Gus and Anders, two undercover agents for the British military posing as Swedish holiday goers. In a shocking twist, it turns out that the German World War II soldiers are the baddies.
Are we the baddies?
They cover the boat in flammable kerosene, planning to eliminate the two men for being Swedish. I mean, fair enough. Meanwhile, during an inspection of the boat, they find a third man, Henry. Well, that's no way to treat your guests. The Swedish facade drops and the men massacre the soldiers. Just lots of shooting, slashing, and stabbing. Just an average night in Birmingham. The German warship then begins firing at the Swedish boat. I wonder why. But Freddy, the fourth member of the crew, returns after rigging it to explode. Well, that wasn't very gentlemanly of them. We then jump back 25 days to Colin Gubbins and Ian Fleming, yes, the James Bond guy, meeting with Prime Minister Winston Churchill, known for such quotes as,
"At any rate, that is what we're going to try to do."
Basically, American soldiers aren't able to join the fight in Europe because the German U-boat submarines keep sinking their ships. So the plan is to cut off the U-boat supplies by sinking the supply ships in Fernando Po, a German-controlled Spanish island off the coast of Cameroon. I know it's confusing with three countries in the mix, but what's important is Fernando in the name. But since Fernando Po is a neutral colony, the mission to destroy the ships must be off the books. A covert mission, a Call of Duty Black Ops, because if anyone knew it was the British who attacked the port, it would be a declaration of war. We then meet two intelligence agents, Stuart and Heron. Heron is the man and Stuart is the very attractive woman. They'll be undercover on Fernando Po, confirming their intel and aiding the mission however they can. Gus is summoned to the headquarters and pitched the idea of commanding the mission behind enemy lines. No.
Please.
No.
Please.
No.
Oh, have a cup of tea.
Fine, I'll do it. Gus isn't too worried about the mission being dangerous and illegal. He just wants to commit some war crimes and assembles a team of equally mad men. We have Henry the sailor, Freddy the arsonist, Anders the Danish hunter, he's a Danish man who hunts, not a man who hunts Danish people, and finally Appleyard, the master strategist. Unfortunately, Appleyard is currently being held by an entire German garrison on the Spanish island of La Palma, but unfortunately, that just happens to be on the way. We then jump forward 25 days to the present. Well, not the present, it's still 1942, but the present of the story, where Gus tells the crew what their mission is. So, we're here to kill Germans, are we, sir? Oh, sorry guys, but we're actually here to commit countless war crimes. I shouldn't have lied. I already said yes, you don't have to sell it to me. He explains the part about the mission being unsanctioned. If the British catch them, it's jail, and if the Germans catch them, it's death. Meanwhile, Heron and Stuart are undercover in West Africa, in land controlled by the angry men with the funny armbands. Taking advantage of the fact Stuart is a woman, they steal an intelligence briefcase and send its contents back to England using Morse code. This is piracy, which is illegal. I might have to start rooting for the other team. Also, don't ask how I download these movies, it's irrelevant. Their intel verifies the cargo on the ships in Fernando Po, confirming that the mission can go ahead. They return the briefcase without suspicion and settle back down for their dinner.
Sausage, cabbage, and black bread.
Why do you say it like that? Back in the Atlantic, the Ungentlemen are planning their prison break to rescue Appleyard.
So how do you want to do this? Run in through the front door or try to play it smart? Still a hothead? Well, some things never change.
So far, so good.
Down. Is that a heart, lass?
Wait, he cut a man's heart out? Well, that's not very gentlemanly, but I know how it feels, having your heart cut out. This one time I walked into my bedroom and I'd left my beer downstairs. Oh! Down in Fernando Po, Heron and Stuart arrive to find it much more populated than their intel suggested, with 200 soldiers guarding supplies as opposed to the mechanics and drunken sailors they were expecting. I don't know what they plan to do with the latter of the two, especially early in the morning, but they begin weakening the port from the inside by doing classic spy things like spying and seducing the leader of the base. Let's listen in to see what pickup lines I can add to my bank.
How do you find dealing with the Jew?
Well, I'll give it a shot, I guess. They also find out that the supply ship is leaving the port in 12 days, 3 earlier than expected. This is a problem for the Ungentlemanly, who are scheduled to arrive in 15 days. They've had to take a wider route to avoid both German and British warships, but because of this schedule change, they have to adopt a shorter course. That does get them there in 12 days, but sails right through German waters. I was worried this film wouldn't contain any gambling, but here we are. My hands have finally stopped shaking from withdrawal. Later, with only 2 days left of their voyage, they're intercepted by a British destroyer, whose captain tells them to please stop committing war crimes and sail home to Blighty. But their chit-chat is interrupted by an incoming threat on the radar. The crew of the destroyer man their battle stations while trying to identify the imminent threat. If only they knew what was coming for them, or who was coming for them. Back with the Spy Guys, they enlist the help of Cam Billy, a pirate and self-proclaimed prince of Fernando Po. He agrees to help them with their little German soldier problem and offers to give them a
tug and 12 of my best men, including yours truly.
Very generous to give Heron a tug, but won't Stuart feel left out? They arrange a meeting between the two teams and the plan is laid out. Heron will plant a bomb to take out the searchlights, then throw a party to keep everyone distracted, allowing the 5 ungentlemen and 12 pirates to simply sail in, rig their boats to explode, and leave without firing a single shot. What a brilliant plan. I sure do hope no ungentlemanly warfare takes place. You're meant to laugh. Later, Heron is rigging the lights to blow when he gets rudely interrupted by some soldiers. They hold him at gunpoint, but he manages to surprise them with a hidden gun up his sleeve. Wait, I've seen this one before. Wow, 3 missing patrol soldiers. They're gonna need something really distracting to get away with that. Okay, that might work. Anyway, that night, all of the German officers attend Heron's fancy dress party, whilst almost all 200 soldiers attend his beer fest, leaving the harbour almost completely empty for the imminent attack. But before it begins, Stuart finds out the Germans have reinforced the supply ship's hull with steel plates, making it unsinkable. There's no time to fetch an iceberg from up north, so Heron leaves to call off the men, just as his charges take out all of the searchlights. The radio message he sends to the boat is picked up by the headquarters back in England, with some high-ranking officer demanding they call off the mission because of the illegal declaration of war thing. But using the same technique I use when the police are bothering me over the phone, Gus pretends their connection is dropping and ignores the direct order. They then begin brainstorming a new plan. With their targets unsinkable, they decide instead to steal them from the Germans. Classic England, stealing other people's property. They'll use their explosives to take out the anchor as well as any ships the Germans could use to follow them, and then simply hand the supply ships over to the British. What a brilliant plan. I sure do hope no ungentlemanly warfare takes place. Back at the costume party, Stuart is distracting all of the officers, keeping them occupied and unaware of the current raid on their base. Outside, Gus and Henry stroll down the pier, executing any German they see before meeting Freddy and Cam Billy at the fuel reserves, where they plant many charges. They continue making their way through the harbour, eventually reaching the soldier beer fest, which they seal shut and cripple any nearby defences. A lovely, stress-free bit of tomfoolery. I sure do hope Appleyard and Anders haven't run into any trouble taking control of the supply ship. Eventually, everyone is in position, just waiting for the anchor to blow. The sound of it detonating alerts the nearby party of soldiers, who quickly discover they've been locked in their beer fest. I don't see a problem.
I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
They have to move out as quickly as possible, because once the fuel reserves blow, even the officer party will be made aware of their presence, which would be bad. They begin stealing the goods, and Heron heads back to fetch Stuart. Damn, it sure would be a shame if she'd accidentally revealed herself as a spy by speaking a German dialect only used by Jewish people. Anyway, after pointing to the ceiling, she accidentally reveals herself as a spy by speaking a German dialect only used by Jewish people. She gets taken into a back room by the leader of the base, and I have no idea whether this is a torture thing or a sex thing, but it doesn't really matter because at that moment the fuel reserves blow earlier than expected. Relatable. All of the soldiers descend into the harbour and try to save their crucial supplies by blowing them up. The leader of the base takes a break from whatever he was planning to remind us all that Nazis are in fact bad guys by executing the local workers while dressed as Julius Caesar. Ugh, I haven't seen symbolism so on the nose since I was served a pint by a man dressed as Jesus Christ. He realizes that with their U-boat supplies gone, they'll lose control of the Atlantic, and the Big H will be very upset, and we all know what he's like. I am Adolf Hitler! He calls for these soldiers to make chase in the S-boats, but the charges detonate and they get blown to Kingdom Come. He turns to Stuart and does the whole, revenge, I must have revenge. But she does end up agreeing to being tortured.
Yeah.
Ugh, no. Look at his costume. You were meant to stab him in the back literally, not metaphorically. Also, where was she hiding that gun? Heron arrives and takes her to the rest of the crew, and they all sail off into the sunsets. They hand over the ships to the British military, and I really don't know how to feel about my country stealing. I mean, it's illegal. Must be the worst thing we've done to another country. I think I'll take a trip to the museum to clear my mind. Anyway, the team returns to England where they're treated like the war heroes they are. Wait, why are they shackled? Oh yes, the war crimes, my bad. They're greeted by Winston Churchill, known for such quotes as,
That is the result of His Majesty's government.
who ends up commending the team for not following direct orders from military leaders and instead committing mass murder, noting that they may have formed their own
Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
He rewards them with food, but British food, so it doesn't really count, and tells them they now work for him. And the movie ends. Great movie. I enjoyed the part where Henry Cavill's character was Ian Fleming's main inspiration for James Bond, making this the closest Henry will ever get to playing Bond. And my favourite character was easily Christopher Lee, yes, Count Dooku / Saruman. For those of you who don't know, during World War II he was part of the SOE, the secret British unit that carried out the mission. He's not actually in this film, he's dead, but in real life he may have been involved with a fair amount of ungentlemanly warfare. But yeah, if you enjoyed this recap, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next one. Thank you ever so much for watching.